Welcome to Varsity. I'm Ryan Aber, joined by Scott Wright. Scott, an interesting first week of district play last week for most schools across the state. This week, not as deep a schedule, but still some really good games. The first one is a game that we wouldn't have thought was big just a few weeks ago, and that's Clinton traveling to Piedmont.
No kidding. Piedmont has been a team, they lost the first two games. Nobody really noticed too much about them, but two big wins, putting up some big offensive numbers. Craig Church brought down his offense that he'd been running at Stillwater for a long time, where he was the offensive coordinator up there. Came down, took over the head job at Piedmont, moved Colin Bricker, an all-state linebacker, over to quarterback, which was an unexpected move. Bricker had never been a quarterback before, really. And you also had Cassius Calhoun move in from Cassidy. Those two guys have really carried this offense, but a lot of talent on that offense. However, Clinton they're Clinton, and it's going to be a tough game for Piedmont, even on the home field. Clinton is a really tough team with Jacob Range at running back, a big, powerful guy. So it'll be a tough one to try to pull off the upset, but Piedmont is a worthy team.
And in this district, it looks like Clinton probably is not going to get challenged too much from here going forward. They had McGinnis last week. Blew the doors off the Irish with their big running back as a big part of that. But how big is this for Piedmont? Not necessarily pulling off a win, because it's going to be a tough one, but just feeling like they can compete against those top teams in not only this district but this class.
It's really important. This is a team that only won 3 games last year. The new coach brought in kind of a new philosophy and kind of regenerated this program a little bit, and they're using this year as a chance to kind of refocus things at Piedmont and build a new tradition in football out there at Piedmont. So going out and hanging tough in a game like this, even if you end up losing by a touchdown or two, is a really big deal to what this program is trying to build out there, and so that's the more important thing right now. And in this district, a playoff berth is certainly a possibility for these guys.
And I'm going to go with Clinton by a couple touchdowns at least, if not more. Is you feeling any differently about this game?
No, that's about what I would expect as well. Jaylee Range, as I said, is a talented running back. I think that he's going to give some problems to that Piedmont defense.
And on to 6A, another game that maybe we wouldn't have thought too much about a few weeks ago. On the other side, UConn traveling to Norman North, and UConn really needs something positive to happen right now.
Yeah, they do. It's been a really frustrating start to the season. 1-3 to start. I've been at 3 of those games. I saw them beat Mustang in the opener. Losses to Edmond Santa Fe, Stillwater, and then Midwest City last week to get to this point. This is a team that could still rebound and get a home playoff berth, but they know that they have to turn things around. They have to play better than they have in these last 3 games, and they're capable of doing that. They've got Corbin Jones at quarterback, a very talented player. That's one of the big questions, though, is whether he's able to come back from the concussion he suffered last week against Midwest City. And of course, Norman North on the other side is dealing with the same issue with Peyton Gavras. Also has missed some time with concussion issues. So we'll see any news on that front. Do we know what's going to happen there?
Well, I don't think Peyton's going to be playing this week, just from some of my conversations with Norman North people. But they stuck with a 2 quarterback rotation last week, using one of their younger guys over there, and it worked out well. I think the key to that is Brian Payne in the backfield. He really gives them another dimension. Junior running back really performed well last week at Lawton Eisenhower in a game that they really needed to have. They pulled it out. Now, Norman North, after the first week, they hung tough with Norman right to the end, and wondered if Norman was maybe a little bit shaky, but Norman North's defense is really good right now, and I think that's going to be the key matchup, whether they're able to slow down UConn's offense.
Yeah, that's that and UConn stopping Brian Payne, like you said. UConn has been kind of hit and miss with some of their tackling in space, having some issues with that at times this early on this season. So we'll see how they are able to shore that up. Payne is definitely an elusive little guy back there in the backfield.
And what's your pick for this one?
I'm going with UConn. I think that this team bounces back and is able to win this ball game. I think Corbin Jones will be able to play. I was out at practice. He was being held out of some stuff early on, but I would expect him to play, be ready by Friday. And I think that UConn pulls this one out in a close one.
And I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say Norman North pulls it out in a close one just because of Payne. I think that Norman North without its quarterback isn't hurt as much as UConn without its quarterback. And I think Norman North's defense is able to do just enough to get them this big win.
All right, now you're going to be down at a game that third one on the list. We wouldn't have called this as a big game in this week of the season. Edmond Santa Fe 1-9 last year, heading down to a really tough Lawton team to play down there. How do you see things playing out down there?
Well, I got a chance to see Lawton last week, and they impressed the heck out of me, especially the young defensive end by the name of DJ Ward. Came back after being held out and was just a monster getting into the backfield. I really look for Lawton to be successful in this game. I think Edmond Santa Fe, this is another step for them. They played Midwest City, had some struggles in the second half. They showed that they're better in that game, but still have a long way to go. Lawton isn't quite to Midwest City's level, but they're a pretty good team.
You know, Edmond Santa Fe, this is a team that got off to the really hot start. I saw them beat UConn in UConn's opener at the brand new stadium. A lot of talent all over the field for this team. I'm curious to see what they do in a game like this. You know, they got beat by Midwest City earlier in the season. I think that Santa Fe is there ready to make a big jump, but they're just in a they're playing a really tough schedule with some of the teams that they faced, and so and I always have my doubts when a team has to make the trip down to Lawton. I think that has a big impact on kids. You know, I think Lawton guys get used to making it so much that it's not that big a deal when they're coming up here. But when a team goes down to Lawton, I think that has an impact, and that's why I'm kind of leaning toward Lawton in this one. A close one, but I think the Wolverines hold on. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm going to go the same way. I think Lawton, especially with that young, big running back, Ivan Thomas, can just pound the ball up the middle and wear down Edmond Santa Fe a little bit more than maybe Santa Fe can do against some of the tough linemen. I'm really looking forward to seeing both defensive ends in this game. Lawton sets, and with DJ Ward obviously being the number one guy, and on Edmond Santa Fe's side with Michael Anoha and what they can do. I look for this game to be lower scoring than what we saw Midwest City, Edmond Santa Fe, but I think Lawton comes out on top. Scott, thanks for joining us, and thank you. And check us out every day at newsok.com/varsity for the best high school coverage anywhere.